Dear God, why do people press harder on the remote when you know the battery is dead? Welcome back to The Fix for part 3, the final part to this week's podcast. We're going to talk about the tips for this week, buckets. Starting with the War Dogs and Firebirds is the Saturday evening game. 4th place versus 3rd.
Yes, very intriguing matchup, this one. War Dogs have probably been one of the more consistent teams throughout the last couple of years of EFC and rightfully deserve their place as a home prelim final. But the Firebirds have been probably, the biggest surprise this year for me, playing as well as they are. I know the Vipers have done well to get where they are, but the Firebirds have really taken off this year and consistently scoring highly.
James Hurd's got the boys there playing really good this year. They've come along.
Good pick up there, Coach.
He's taken a team that Rob Wiley had on the bottom of the ladder. I mean, there was all the contract disputes after the first year, after the shortened first season and the new salary cap rules, so a lot of the players didn't end up at the same team. But the team that James Hurd assembled at the start of last season has really taken East Melbourne to great
But even
heights.
from last year to this year, they've really taken giant strides and gone a long way. And
they were borderline finals last year, knocked out in the first week. So
yep. If we look back to the game that they played earlier on in the year,
round 4 it was.
Very early on in the year. Both teams probably a bit uncharacteristically. What is that word? They both scored very low, so the defence was really, really tight in this game, which is, like I said, normally these two teams are very high scoring and really kick some goals. But 116 away win to the Firebirds over the War Dogs in that game. And
I was at Manuka too, so it was a good win for the Firebirds there.
Yes.
Lockyer and Del Santo were the catalysts there for the Firebirds, 25 points and 23 points, respectively. Bradshaw didn't show up. He'll be there this week, I should assume. He played last week, so...
Yeah, I don't expect the same sort of scores. I still expect another tight contest. And I'm actually going to tip an upset here and get the Firebirds to move on to the grand final.
Well, there you go. I'm going to go with the War Dogs. Earlier in the year, Favola and Didak got 6 points apiece against the Firebirds, and they've been in dynamite form. That was also the game that the War Dogs unveiled Farron Ray off the bench at halftime after Brad Green got injured, and Farron scored 13 points in a half for footy, and he hasn't looked back since. So,
I think the key to this game is going to be the ginger kid Cameron Ling. If he can do a good shutdown job, and Dane Swan, I think the Firebirds
depends
will win.
on if he gets a game. Ling performed well a couple of weeks ago, but he didn't play last week.
I think they're seriously considering this week with Dane Swan out there running around.
Yeah, that's right. Maybe
mountains of touches.
Put him in for a tag job.
Yep. All right, moving on.
Moving on to the other game, we've got my boys, the Fusion, at home against the Vipers. Where do you think that one's going to go? Which way is that going to go?
Well, straight up, I think the Vipers have got no chance in this one. The Fusion have been far too good.
Well, it was only 4 weeks ago they played last time, and Fusion only got up by 2 points in a high-scoring game at home.
They did. The home field really worked for them in that game. I must admit, I did forget about this result. Close loss there to the Vipers, but I still think the Fusion have just got a really well-balanced team. There's not one part of the game that falls down forward, midfield, or back line, and I just think the Vipers might struggle to get 9 good contributors out there this week, where the Fusion will.
Looking into it, the Fusion is the Vipers' bogey team. In 5 meetings they've had in the first 3 years of the EFC, the Fusion have won them all. Interestingly, though, the last 3 meetings over two meetings last year and 1 earlier this year, the margins collectively have only been 13 points. So it's been pretty tight games between the two, but the Vipers just can't get up.
Been pretty close, but finals in Amy Stadium, I think it's going to be very, very loud in there, and I just don't like the Vipers. No real experience in these, real close games. So the grand finals, prelims.
Yeah,
Fusion have been there before, prelim finals, been to a grand final. They've felt that. They'll be itching to get back there and go one better than last year. I think the Vipers might be just happy to get there. So Yeah, I'm going to have to tip the Fusion, and by a large margin. Don't get me wrong, though. I'd love to see the Vipers get up and upset them and have a Firebirds Vipers grand final, but I do think the Fusion will get up here.
Well, I reckon the Fusion are going to get up. I reckon it's not going to...
Of course you bloody do.
I don't think it's going to be close. I think Fusion grand final day is going to bring back some bad memories for me, but I think we're going to be there again.
I think the Fusion will get there, and I think they'll choke again, but...
Well, the Rage aren't going to be standing in our way, and they seem to always come up trumps against us in the finals, whether it's here or in different competitions. But
but
I haven't got Ward standing in front of me, so I'm right.
The arch nemesis.
The V-Pot from the Ukraine is not there, so I think this year, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, because that's what the old coach did all season long, talking up the Stingrays, and that's bit him in the arse.
Yeah,
so.
The coach loves talking himself up and loves talking the Stingrays up.
Well, I can't remember what it was last week, but he said touch wood, and he touched this bench right here, and it's not actually real wood, and I told him that at the time, but... So I think that might have been it, so I'm not even going to worry about touching wood.
Well, if you obviously you can't see here, we're sitting on plastic chairs and plastic tables, so that really says much about the IQ of the coach.
I was touching wood earlier when we were talking about Chris Judd anyway, so... So we don't have to worry about that now.
The coach should be touching wood when you start talking about Gary Ablett.
I'm all sorted. Well, he was pretty quietly sitting at the back there when we were talking about Sean McManus last week, so...
Now there's somebody who could step into coaching roles.
That's right. He's got a strong head about him.
Strong head.
That's what you call it, wouldn't you? A strong head.
A strong head.
The golden gollywog.
A strong head. You could belt it around.
Well, he does take a bit of a knock, so I don't mean to get back on the subject again, but would Barry actually knock Sean out, or would he?
I think it'd be a Homer Simpson.
Sean wouldn't realise.
Barry would get tired of punching him, and Sean would blow him over after 10 minutes.
Oh, the old rope-a-dope.
Yeah. Sean's pretty good at blowing other blokes over, from what I hear as well.
Deck the halls versus the golden gollywog.
Anyway, we swore we wouldn't get on this subject after listening to last week's podcast.
Well, I was disappointed that Barry couldn't be on the show, so I wasn't going to talk about it. Another big news, just going back on last week, David Bowie and the Culture Club have actually pulled out of the grand final day festivities.
Well, I'm not going.
They heard the podcast, and we were talking about Barry Hall belting them around in a 2-on-1 handicap match. So.
There's only one thing to say. Bye-bye, David Bowie.
No worries. So anyone knows a band out there, or at least someone who can sing a tune, and not buckets, because here's the thing.
Had to put my hand up.
Here's the thing. If we can't find someone, I know Buckets he's gonna get up and sing in front of everyone. So we need a band. It's the EFC grand final. The EFC is bigger than AFL, and we can't find a band for grand final day.
I've got it.
What have you got?
I've got it. It's going to be really not that well heard of, but they're a great band.
Oh, I think I know where you're heading here.
I think you do. Red dot, white stick.
Oh, he said it. Well,
the best uncovered band in Australia.
Well, if you can get them all together on the same day,
I'd love to get them all together. I mean, we can see the lead guitarist head from here. I know he lives miles and miles away, but
so if you strap the lead guitar to his head, he might be present.
Yeah, he might. We'll get an incoming message from the big giant head. Anyway, getting off that subject, because there's no doubt that I'll be there singing on grand final day. As will the Firebirds.
Yeah, well, I'll be singing either way. Win, lose or draw. That's if I'm there.
You'll be crying like last year.
That's if we're there. If the Fusion's there, I'll be... Even if they're not there, I'll be singing.
Alright, I hope you all enjoyed it this week. Hope you enjoyed my input, and maybe we'll get the coach back in next week.
It'd be good to see the coach, Buckets and Bang Bang all in the one show.
Let's be honest, no one actually likes the coach.
The studio's not big enough for all of our egos, but...
Bigger. Yes, well... No comments there.
Alright.
We'll see you all next week, revved up for the grand final, and expect to see a huge crowd at the grand final for what should be a great game. And then we can all take the piss out of the Stingrays. It'll be great.
Yep. It's a deal. Alright, no worries. We'll see you next week on The Fix.
Sayonara.
That's what it is. Bang bang!
Dear God. Why is a person who plays the piano called a pianist, but a person who drives a race car is not called a racist?